Don't be a Hitler lover. But if you are, don't lose a fight in front of your hero. Because then us non-Hitler lovers are going to make fun of you a lot. Because it's never a bad day to see a Hitler lover lose a fight. Wow, so gnarly what I was seeing on screen. Ugh, there's so much blood. So big fan of UFC. No, actually, I kind of am these days. But there's the Irish Star reports pro-Hitler. Now, you think I'm saying, if you just came across this video, you don't know me, you might think I throw around that label just to anyone who's really right-wing. I don't, okay? He actually said, I think Hitler was a good guy. So... And I shouldn't say that because now an easy soundbite there. But pro-Hitler UFC star who would die for Donald Trump, choked out in front of the president. Trump went to the UFC thing and watched this fight and some of the other ones like Patty the Patty. And Bryce Mitchell is his name. Bryce Mitchell has said this, and I'll show you the clip that you were seeing on screen of how the fight ended for him.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews.
No, we'll start that stuff out there for my goodness, for algorithmic reasons. But I think you can imagine how that ended. So that's Nazi, right? Sometimes maybe too many people call it Nazi. That's Nazi. That's Nazi stuff, right? Did Elon hail or not? No. And so we won't jump to call. But would this guy hail? Yes, he would. So he also then later said, I didn't say I loved him.
Say the truth. And I have German heritage. And I'm not afraid to talk about my German heritage. And I never said Hitler was perfect. But I'm just telling you, there is more to the history than what you learn in school. And I'm not afraid to talk about my people's heritage. Okay? Yes, Hitler did some dumb shit. He invaded Russia in the winter. How dumb does it get?
Sorry, this is all context. We haven't got to the story here, but excuse me? Now, just so I don't combust, I'm going to keep making sort of this lighthearted, but this is really infuriating and really stupid. And he also doesn't think the Earth is the Earth. He thinks it's he thinks, how do I say? He thinks it's flat like a pancake. So we'll get to that as well. But whenever people justify saying really, really crazy, hurtful things by, I was drunk, you know what I mean? Like they send you some crazy text and they're like, you're a disgusting, this has never happened to me, but you're disgusting and I wish you would die. I wish you would die, Luke. Sincerely, Jaden. No. And then you respond, you're like, hey, as per that previous text, ouchie. And then they respond the next morning and they're like, oh my gosh, I was so drunk. I didn't mean that. And that's sort of supposed to be the end of the conversation. You go, no, but you said it. Like, okay, you were drunk, but why did your drunk brain want to go there? Or people who will drop slurs or start going on racist tirades, and then later they say, sorry, that I was drunk. I didn't mean that. Yeah, but you could make me drunk as a skunk on Cinco de Mayo. And I would still not go on a racist tirade because it's not like drunkenness creates new thing. You might do something you regret, but it's not going to create something that maybe has ever crossed your mind. Him doing the whole "it was all the meth" argument with Hitler is like that times a billion within the context of the Holocaust. So it's not really, it doesn't make any sense. You can't say, oh, Hitler, despite all of the history of the long development of his ideology that led to the atrocities that he facilitated, it was just the meth. It's like he definitely acted weird with the meth, but there is a long story there as to why he ended up doing the disgusting things that he did. But a really simple-minded man who wants to believe that maybe Hitler wasn't so bad will blame it on the meth. But last context clip, since I know most of you probably don't know Bryce Mitchell, he also cracked the code on the earth.
Dude, I'm not stupid. Let me tell you.
I'm not stupid. I love that so much. Imagine if I started a video. I'm not stupid. Trump's bad. I mean it. I'm not stupid. Why you don't have to say, okay. All right. I'm not going to say, I would never use the S word. So I'm not going to say Bryce is stupid or not. But let's just say that all the people I've met before today who insisted they weren't stupid were stupid. Pardon my French.
Dude, I'm not stupid. Let me tell you what I mean. Here's a picture of the circle of the earth, supposedly, if you believe in a globe. And the red circle is the helicopter. When the helicopter ascends above the earth's surface, it now has a larger flight path around the earth. As in, when the earth, the inside circle, the black circle, does one full rotation, the red circle, or the flight of the helicopter, actually has to cover more distance to get back to the same spot. That's what I meant, okay? If you don't understand geometry of spheres and circles, that's going to go right over your head. But what I said makes perfect sense. And I'm actually a lot smarter than a lot of y'all think. Some of y'all can't even keep up with me. That's the sad part. This is basic geometry. Some of y'all might not be able to understand what I'm saying. But God bless you. And keep doing your own research, because there is no proof that the earth...
It's so interesting because I really do believe you should do your own research. But it's weird how that phrase has become a stand-in for read Patriot knows the truth /real.com's articles about the earth. Like, doing your own research is so important because you should be able to verifiably, independently. What am I trying to say? You independently verify. There we go. Verifiably, the verifiable information that you're verifiably confirming. And sort of tell, okay, if you're looking at a media figure, they're saying this, let me see if I can confirm that, yeah, okay, they're telling the truth. But now when someone says do your own research, they just mean go down the weirdest social media rabbit hole and not know the difference between a meme and a research study. Now, Trump was at this event. Bryce Mitchell has said he would die for Donald. And no comment on why someone of this ideology would support Trump. I mean, that's where I got to figure it out. But Bryce here, tough guy, he did end up losing. It's tragic because he's right there. Trump's right there. He's watching him.
Another choke attempt.
Oh, that's tight.
Real tight.
That's tight.
There's the tie.
And that was it. Very interesting. The UFC head, president, whatever the term is, Dana White, got asked after those comments about Hitler from Bryce Mitchell about it. And this was the conversation with peers.
When one of your fighters, Bryce Mitchell, came out on this podcast with some outrageous comments about Adolf Hitler being a good guy and Holocaust denial and so on, a lot of people in the last few years would have said, that's it, cancel, not working with this guy again. You just sort of said, you know what, they were stupid comments, dumb comments, but I believe in free speech, he can have his views, we carry on. And what's interesting to me is that people sort of shrug their shoulders and go, okay. In other words, there hasn't been this mob onslaught demanding you cancel this guy forever. What do you think of the way it's played out.
Well, to start, let me give him his props here. Elon Musk was the superhero of this election. Going in and buying Twitter and exposing all these things that people are calling conspiracy theorists.
Hey, Dana, what was one of them? Hey, Dee, what was one of the things he exposed, please? I love these guys who, I promise, you know what, I am. Oh, this is going to sound, elitist, whatever. I love hearing from someone who I promise could not explain for their life what it is that Elon exposed, going, I just think that he did a great service to America by exposing the corruption through the Twitter files. Yeah, what was in the Twitter files? Proof that Biden, he got the government during the 2020 election while Trump was president to shut down the outlets of MAGA.
Going in and buying Twitter and exposing all these things that people are calling conspiracy theorists. What he's done for America and the world is unbelievable. And I tell Elon every time I see him, you're literally a superhero.
Yeah, just given the question that's being asked, maybe we just stay away from any of those motions just for now. Just for now, based on what was being asked.
For America and the world is unbelievable. And I tell Elon every time I see him, you're literally a superhero. And going to Bryce Mitchell, what he said was disgusting. And, you have to be an absolute moron to think that Adolf Hitler was a good guy. And you look at World War II and how many people were killed, how many civilians were killed because of Adolf Hitler. The fact that he tried to annihilate an entire group of people is disgusting for anybody to speak remotely good about Hitler. But I do believe in free speech. And even though I don't like what he said, and even though what he said makes me sick, free speech is real, man. It lives and exists, and we have to protect free speech.
Is there any limit to that
Probably,
for you?
no, I think probably the most important free speech to protect is hate speech. I mean, because when a government or a certain person can come out and say this is hate speech, it's a very slippery slope, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, so you don't know what free speech is. So that has nothing to do with the government. You can still argue your position that I don't even know I guess UFC would employ Bryce, or they do contracts for notifieds, whatever they do. You can't do it's free speech thing, because that relates to, I don't think the government should go arrest Bryce Mitchell for saying stuff like that. That's why we have free speech. Great. So the government can't do that. But in terms of choosing to employ someone, you're not legally required to employ somebody if you feel like they represent your brand horribly, unless you're discriminating based off of certain characteristics. But him being a bad employee, if that's his status, or representative of UFC, is totally within your right for saying stuff like that about Hitler, to fire him. But I don't know how many UFC fighters would go that far, but a lot of them are going to have views that, I think the reason Dana White doesn't want to make any moves is you start making judgments about what's acceptable, what's not, in terms of the appropriateness of language. A lot of UFC fighters are going to go. And I hate, just justify it based on it's your own argument. Don't do because I have to because of free speech, because this has nothing to do with that. It's your free speech right. It's your legal right to determine who you pay and who you don't. You're not legally required to pay him, but you choose to. And you choose to continue having him as a fighter. So defend that stance, but don't make it about how he has the legal right to say those things. Of course. Doesn't have to make millions of dollars from you, though. Share your thoughts in the comments. Support the show. Get the members only bonus show by clicking that join button below.